It is day 9 of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We are still continuing on here with second group stage matches. Today is going to be Group C and Group D. In Group C, you have Scotland taking on Morocco and Brazil taking on Haiti. Two very important matches for two varying different reasons. And then in Group D, you have the USA taking on Australia in what could very possibly be a game that decides who wins this group. And then in the late game, you have Turkey taking on Paraguay. Got a lot to get to here, so let's get after it. Welcome into episode 9 of World Cup Preview, World Cup Today. I'm, of course, your host, as always, Nick Burt, here on the Nick Burt Sports Network. 4 games today. Like I mentioned, Group C, Group D. A lot of interesting matchups, a lot of things at play. We might as well just dive straight into it. We're going to do this in group order today. Sometimes I like to go chronological order. Sometimes I like to go group order. Going in group order today. Group C, 6 p.m. kickoff from the Boston Stadium in not Boston, Massachusetts. It's in Foxborough, as it is Scotland taking on Morocco. Scotland currently sit top of the group after their 1-0 win against Haiti last Saturday. Brazil and Morocco drew 1-1, so that has Scotland sitting top of the group on 3 points. Morocco and Brazil on 1 each, and then Haiti on 0, sitting bottom of the group. Now for Scotland, simple enough here. If Scotland win, they are on to the knockout stages, and they basically control their destiny because they do play Brazil in their last game, which will not be the easiest of games, especially given it's going to be in Miami and that just disgusting heat. But for Scotland, it feels like it is a chance to prove something on this stage. They didn't look convincing against Haiti. It was a decent game, but still lacked some convincing. Overall, though, a big game for both of these sides. Now, it's a big game for both these sides because for Morocco, you're still playing to finish top of this group. If you beat Scotland, you sit on 4 points. Brazil probably are beating Haiti, so they'll both be equal on 4 points. And then you have Scotland with 3 and Haiti with 0. And then if you're Morocco, you're playing Haiti in the last game, and that probably helps a lot because you'll know what you need goal differential-wise if the scenarios get to that. Now, for Scotland, they're trying to do something no Scotland team has ever done before in a major competition, and that is advance on to knockout stages. A win would do massive, massive things for Scottish football. Even a draw puts them on 4 points. I very much expect them to get through on 4 points if they fall into that third place spot, which they probably would in that scenario. But overall, it feels like it's a monumental game for both sides because you're basically playing for your next game. Because for Scotland, it's, like I said, it's not going to get easy against Brazil. For Morocco, you just want to go into that last group stage game with a chance still to play for top of the group, especially playing against Haiti. Anything can happen at that point. Now, looking back on each of the team's first games, I will say I wasn't really impressed with either side. Obviously, Brazil just couldn't find the back of the net, really, and that was up to a great Morocco back line. But Morocco also couldn't really find the back of the net either. So that's what made the 1-1 draw so intriguing to me because truthfully, neither side looked great. Now, on the Scotland end, I expected a little bit more, especially given you were playing against Haiti. You don't want to regret those games later on down the line that you didn't put up goal differential. We saw that yesterday with Canada putting 6 past Qatar, and that was for goal differential, just in case it does come into play. You don't want to regret that, only winning 1-0. Yes, you're happy with the 3 points. Yes, you have the advantage over everybody in the group right now, but Haiti was probably your easiest opponent. You kind of want to make that impact. So overall here, it's basically the last day in Scotland for these, last day in Boston for these Scotland fans. They've already drinking the city dry. I don't think they're getting 3 points out of this. If they do, that is a massive, massive achievement for Scottish football. I don't see it happening, though. I see this being I'll go 2-0 Morocco victory. If Scotland can score, though, I think this game ends up a draw. I know that's a little weird there, but I do think Morocco has the upper advantage in this one. Now, it's always going to be a tough game to read, but Morocco are unbeaten in their last 29 matches. So it would be dumb for me to take Scotland here, and that's exactly why I'm not going to do that. These two teams have faced off before at a World Cup. 1998 World Cup, of course, last time Scotland was at a World Cup. It was a 3-0 victory for Morocco. So, just saying, probably expecting more of the same come at 6 p.m. today. We'll move on. The second game in Group C has already been mentioned. 8:30 kickoff. So it's not the usual staggered time that gets you to a 9 p.m. kickoff. 8:30 kickoff from Philadelphia. It's Brazil against Haiti. Again, this is going to be quite the goal differential shootout, to say the least. Now for Brazil, Neymar not traveling has me questioning more and more why he was even called up into the squad. Feel like I know that answer, but we'll leave that there. I mentioned with Morocco, I wasn't fully impressed by this Brazil squad. Now, I wasn't really impressed by them coming into this tournament. I said this is one of the weakest Brazil teams we've seen at a World Cup, and that's saying something, basically, because this is still a very good team. Vini Jr. got his goal at the World Cup last time out in that 1-1 draw against Morocco. If I'm Carlo Ancelotti and I'm these Brazil fans, I'm hoping we get at least 2 from him today, because this is a prime run up the score opportunity. Haiti they can only park the bus for so long, and I don't see a way that they are coming close in this game. Now, this World Cup has put up some shockers, but this Brazil team is too good. This is going to be too much of an outmatched competition that I don't see a path here for Haiti doing much here. This does feel like the Germany-Curacao game. This feels like the Canada-Qatar game. This could get out of hand very fast. Given that, give me Brazil to win. I'll go 5-0. Now, obviously, like you don't want to see blowouts at competitions like this, but you look back to the one time these two teams faced each other. It was the 2026 Copa America Centenario, held in the Americas. Brazil won that game 7-1. Now, that Brazil team was a lot better. I will give them that. But you look at some of the names on here that kind of pop up. A Casemiro, Marquinhos, Alisson. They're all still on this team. But notably from that day, Philippe Coutinho had a hat trick. So that's just nice to point out there. Don't expect this game to be close at all. Expect Brazil kind of to run up that score here. So that is your third game of the day, your second game in the group. So we'll move on to Group D, where we start. This is where we're starting the day, 3 p.m. It's co-host United States of America taking on Australia. A game that is going to do massive, massive implications for the knockout stages and everything beyond that. So here, the simplest thing is the winner is advancing on to the round of 32 if there is a winner. I believe then it is Paraguay needs to not lose to have the winner of this game win the group. So, yeah, very interesting here because I don't think the U.S. expected Australia to be their number one competition in this group. But, I mean, I saw a path for it happening. This Socceroos team, Tony Popovic, they play a 4-4-2, but it really feels like a, 7-2-1. They are parking the bus as hard as they can. And they kind of did that against Türkiye last time out where they got the 2-0 victory. They got a somewhat early goal. It was after the hydration break from Nestoroy Akarunda, who he's an incredible player. I have to give him that. He is an incredible, incredible player. And then it was Connor Metcalf in the second half that made it 2-0. But if you look at the possession of that game, Turkey had 72% possession, which means Australia only had 28. They had 30 total shots. They had 51 touches in the opponent's box compared to Australia having 9 total shots and 18 touches in the opponent's box. That is just ludicrous. But that's how this Australian team plays. They love parking the bus, and they're actually quite good at it. I have to give them that. You look at the other end of it, United States dominated possession against Paraguay in that 4-1 victory. 65%. They had 16 total shots in that game, 53 touches in the opponent's box. So you are playing a team that is similar to what Türkiye had stat-wise. But of course, the United States actually found the back of the net those times. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, these two teams played 8 months ago, back in October of 2025 in a friendly. The U.S. won 2-1. It's interesting because you don't usually see teams play each other that close together. Obviously, at that time, the U.S. didn't know they were playing Australia. But with the U.S., they've played all these teams in the last 16 months that they have in their group, which is very unusual. So everybody kind of knows how they're going to set up against the U.S. It's just how do you make that work in effect? It's interesting because the health of Christian Pulisic feels like it makes or breaks this game kind of, as much as it shouldn't, because I think this team will be fine without him. But he was just such a playmaker in that game against Paraguay that I don't know if the U.S. can play without him. I don't even know if I can predict if he's going to play or not because he hasn't trained all week. He's trained, just not with the team, which leads me to believe he's not playing tomorrow. And if he's playing, he's coming off the bench. This Australia team, though, the Socceroos, what can I say? They looked really good against Turkey, and maybe Turkey is bad. Maybe they are just putrid. We're going to find that out in the second game we talk about because Paraguay might be putrid for all we know. But very interesting dynamics here. I'm going to lean U.S. victory. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up in a draw. And if Australia win this game, I'm not going to say it's like the greatest upset in World Cup history, But it's a big upset. It is a big, big upset because the U.S. should be winning this game. It should be a scoreline like they put up against Paraguay. It should be a 4-1 scoreline with the talent they have. But this Australia team, like I said, they park the bus well. And when it's running to perfection, not many people are breaking it. So slight lean U.S. victory. I'll go 2-1, just like the friendly back in October. But I can see a path where Australia at least get a point. So given that, for me, that's the game of the day. It's the first game of the day. It's obviously going to be the most watched game of the day, at least here in the U.S. It is just such an interesting dynamic, this team. Because I don't know what to expect. If Pulisic doesn't play, I feel like there's a lot more questions than answers about this team. I think they have good replacements for him, but it's going to be interesting. That's why you need to follow at NickBird13 on Twitter/X so that when I do my preview, quick kick around the pitch preview, an hour before kickoff, I will know the starting lineups. I will know Pulisic's playing, and we can kind of adapt from there. But give me U.S. close 2-1 victory. Our last game to preview and the last game of the day as it kicks off at 11 p.m. from the San Francisco Bay Area Stadium. It is Turkey going up against Paraguay. Both these teams obviously lost in their first games. Both teams fighting to keep their World Cup dreams alive. Now, Paraguay kind of got embarrassed. It was 3-0 at halftime. They lost 4-1. Was kind of an awful showing for them. There's nowhere to go but up at this point. Turkey just exposed by Australia, I think is the best way to put it. 2-0 loss. Even though they controlled that game possession-wise, shot-wise, just didn't work out. I don't know what to think of either of these teams. Both these teams might be bad, truly. And this is just kind of a battle for third place at this point. That's truly what this game feels like. It does feel like a battle for third place. Now, if one of these teams wins and then the U.S. and Australia draw earlier in the day, then obviously it's a different story. But it does feel like Turkey and Paraguay are playing for that third place spot and hopefully getting on to the round of 32. I don't know if I have a projection for this game. Because I don't know if either of these teams are good. And that is my biggest problem, not knowing if these teams are good. And I didn't see much from them, to be honest, in both their losses to make me think they'll be fine. They can come back the next game. Neither of them really instilled hope in me. If I had to pick one, I guess it would be Turkey because they controlled that game. But the 2 goals conceded. You can't be doing that. So I guess with that, give me Turkey, I guess. Given it's the last game of the day, though, those last games get a little wacky, especially in Pac-12 territory. 4-3 final score. Why not? Why not? So given that is going to wrap it up for Matchday 9 preview here at the World Cup. Like I mentioned, make sure you follow at NickBird13 on Twitter/X because those previews come out 1 hour before kick. Once all the lineups are in, I give you what you need to know, my full prediction and everything going on from there. So that is going to wrap it up for this episode of World Cup Preview, World Cup Today, here on the Nick Bird Sports Network. So thank you so much for watching. If you just stumbled across this video, click like, click subscribe, tell everybody you know about it. Content keeps rolling here. That gravy train just keeps heading straight towards the final destination on July 19th in East Rutherford, New Jersey in that World Cup final. So Make sure you stick along for the ride because it feels like it's just beginning. So thank you so much for watching. We will see you again soon for another episode here on the Nick Burt Sports Network.